Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. I hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. Welcome back for another weekend edition of News That I Missed, where I go over news that I missed during the week. Typically there's an enormous amount of news that's flowing around the cryptocurrency space, so this is all the stuff that I slightly passed over. It may not be insignificant, it may actually be quite significant, but I did not have enough time, as I already make a lot of videos and it's impossible for me to make an extra 3 or 4 per day. So here we go. First up, First Block Capital Inc., a Canadian cryptocurrency and blockchain investment company, has announced that its Bitcoin Trust FBC Bitcoin Trust has achieved mutual fund status in Canada, allowing investors to place funds in registered accounts such as a tax-free savings account or a TFSA, or registered retirement savings plan or an RRSP. The trust is also available on NeoConnect, a fund distributed platform under the ticker FBCBT, and is available to accredited investors only. Advisors can trade the fund with the same efficiency and ease as trading ETFs. NeoConnect allows daily settlements, removing the previous 30-day redemption clause. They said at First Block, "We provide investment exposure to Bitcoin by removing the complicated barriers to investing directly in the cryptocurrency." This was said by Sean Clark, the CEO and founder of First Block. He said this in a prepared statement. "As the market leader is providing investment vehicles based on blockchain and cryptocurrency in Canada, we are very happy to make our fund more accessible to the accredited investor community. In this fast-changing world, Neo is the perfect partner with whom we have seized the opportunity to grow our fund with their proven and rapidly expanding fund distribution network." End quote. As far as the Neo thing, I do not think they are talking about the Neo blockchain, especially when it comes to NeoConnect, and especially because they have a ticker. I assume this is a company that is actually on their stock exchange within the country. We're going to see a lot more of this. First of all, Canada is barely ever in the news when it comes to cryptocurrency, which is an absolute shame because there are a lot of people who are actually into cryptocurrencies in that country. It could just be maybe there's some type of a bias when I'm searching around online. I typically, anywhere from 16 to 20 different websites I try to use in order to gather information for crypto news on a daily or weekly basis. But Canada's barely ever in it. Mutual funds and hedge funds are going to be very important in the coming years when it comes to the cryptocurrency market, or the growth of cryptocurrencies as we have them right now, or rather the expected prices that all these people are talking about within the next 3, 4, 5 years. What I'm very interested in, for those who do not know, mutual funds are pretty much like funds that are bundled up of a lot of other smaller things. So you can have a mutual fund on the stock market that comprises around 50 different companies. So you can have a mutual fund that has, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Louis Vuitton stock, and all these other major ones inside of one fund. So the fact that there are finally more Bitcoin mutual funds, I am very excited about this because it could lead to the eventual future, which is probably going to end up happening, is where we have mutual funds that are based on cryptocurrency companies. And I'm hoping that eventually, as far as ETFs and other funds like that they will eventually just physically hold the cryptocurrency. I'm sure that there are at least a few companies or entities or larger organizations who are definitely in talks with their country's SEC about making this a possibility, because the entire major thing around crypto is that you want to actually hold the crypto. It really makes no sense if you are denominating your fund in Bitcoin or something else, but you do not actually physically hold the actual product. But this is something very significant. You better believe that if this is happening on not a smaller basis, but if it's happening very slow, that there are definitely other companies and also stock markets who are definitely paying attention, because they also want to make sure that they are not missing out on any way that they could potentially make hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars based on the future of cryptocurrencies. China is in the news, and it should be surprising, but it's really not. Chinese traders are using virtual private networks, or VPNs, as a major tool to circumvent the ongoing government crackdown on cryptocurrency trading. This was said by local media outlet South China Morning Post, or the SCMP. They said this on the 8th of September. According to the SCMP, referencing reports from Beijing-affiliated Shanghai Security Times, traders have begun leveraging stablecoin Tether as a means of entering and exiting cryptocurrency markets. Combined with a VPN, two traders can use exchange platforms notionally, registered outside China as an intermediary to swap cryptocurrency for fiat currency and vice versa. They said 2 individuals who have both completed a know your customer procedure with an exchange would swap fiat currencies to Tether, the publication reported. They said the exchange plays the role of an overseer of such trades and stands ready to adjudicate in cases of failed trades or transactions that are not honored, end quote. What it comes down to, without having to read through the entire thing, China is one of the, I'm actually going to go over something else in a couple of minutes, and China is one of the, they like to control everything. We've spoken about China so many times, I really don't want to dig too deep into it. The fact is that people in the country have gotten tired, I'm sure, of these controls, of them trying to control everything. And then when we have something like cryptocurrency that brings about the idea or the spirit of a financial revolution of sorts, and we have countries that won't allow this because they don't want anyone to take away the power that they have, people are of course going to look for ways to try and circumvent this and trying to get around it. And the fact that they're using Tether and VPNs is actually, like I said, it should have been something that we could have seen from, very far away. And I'm pretty sure it's not just around, 15 people doing it within the country. As I think before, there were like anywhere from like 50 to 150 million people in China who had like an interest in cryptocurrency. And I assume if China had not banned crypto, 2 or 3 years by now, we would have seen an enormous amount of people inside of China who would have even owned fractions of Bitcoin. This is why China receives so much attention. China and India specifically, because of the amount of people that they have in the country. Realistically, if they were allowed, same with India, at least at the time of me making this video, to deal properly in cryptocurrencies, and every single person at least bought 0.05 of a Bitcoin, if not 0.10, the price of Bitcoin would be nearing the 6 digits at this point. But for some reason, not even for some reason, we know why China does what it does. It's good to hear that the spirit is there. I do actually, not even joking, I fear for their safety, the people who are actually doing this within the country, just because China is very well known on cracking down heavily when someone disobeys them, what have you. Hopefully at some point China gets it together. At this, the stronger crypto gets, the less convinced I am that China will actually unban cryptocurrencies, because as crypto continues, even if the crypto space has multiplied 8-fold in 2018, as prices have gone down around 60-70%, it's safe to say that crypto probably isn't going anywhere, and I don't think that there's going to be any bright future where China decides to let go of their power and allow people to start trading crypto again. I mean, who knows what the future holds? Who knows if they are going to allow a couple of the other coins that we spoke about before? But the fact is, people in that country are very hungry to make profits and to get into the cryptocurrency space. And if anything, I hope that something good eventually comes from this. So it is actually, I think today is actually the 10-year anniversary of the financial collapse of 2008. If you can believe it, it's already been 10 years. Time does actually fly extremely fast, especially when you don't really, I guess, pay attention to it. Being in the cryptocurrency space, I guess things move a bit quicker than everything else. Without having to read the entirety of this article, it pretty much goes into the reason why we had the 2008 crash, what came about in 2009, which is pretty much Bitcoin, and the entire original idea of Bitcoin being this kind of this libertarian, futurist type thing where people would have control over their own money, and we tried to get away from the constraints of traditional finance and tried to move completely away from them, and this is the entire original point of Bitcoin. But as we are, or where we are right now, it appears that not only have Wall Street and others alike completely joined the Bitcoin world, but now they are extremely buddy-buddy. I mentioned this in other videos, and I do apologize for not clarifying. I thought it had been sarcastically clear. I was telling people before, when it comes to the people used to like to say, I don't hear it as much anymore, thank goodness. People would constantly always say, they were talking about that XRP was the bankster coin, and I kept on saying that there was only one bankster coin as it was. And like to clarify, it's Bitcoin. The traditional financial world has all but absorbed Bitcoin. They're obsessed with Bitcoin. We spoke about before when I was telling you in the Ethereum video. Even when you'll hear Ethereum muttered sometime by bankers and by Wall Street and stuff like that, they may say that they are definitely adding it to their fund. But typically what it comes down to is that Bitcoin and Wall Street are more or less synonymous. And this is only going to accelerate when we finally do have an actual Bitcoin ETF. This will be the crazy glue that will stick them together, and they won't really be able to become, separated. When we have the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ and the German Stock Exchange and the Swiss Stock Exchange and other mutual funds and hedge funds talking about that they're getting into cryptocurrencies and more specifically into Bitcoin and not XRP, everything around money at some point can become corrupted. There's still a huge belief, especially amongst a lot of the crypto, or rather Bitcoin maximalists, that at some point Bitcoin will be able to break away, or that this is just a growing pain or something like that when it comes to Wall Street trying to get into it. If you don't know, when Wall Street has their grasp on something, they will not let it go. This is why, part of the reason why I believe that Bitcoin is going to have myself personally, I believe that Bitcoin is going to have a very bright future. And it's more or less because the people who now are buying up this Bitcoin over the counter, a lot of people were asking before why, if we had news reports about a week or two ago, why, if so many institutions were actually getting into crypto, why the price of Bitcoin hadn't skyrocketed, why the price of all these other coins hadn't skyrocketed. It's because everything is being bought over the counter, or OTC, where pretty much you can go to Coinbase, you can go directly to any other company and say that I want to buy $15 million worth of this coin. And you pretty much just do a bank transfer, or however a briefcase full of money that's, handcuffed to someone's arm and they have a key. You've all seen the movies. And this is how people are buying right now. This is at least what's speculated, and also what's expected of all the people who are actually buying crypto right now, that they're not directly buying from exchanges, especially when it comes to the KYC and anti-money laundering things. No one who is trying to put $50 million into the market is going to sign up for Coinbase, wait 3.5 days, hold up their passport, and do all these other, you've all been there. You've all done the validation and then verification processes for these things. The point is, the old Bitcoin, the idea of Bitcoin is pretty much underground right now. I'm sure there are a lot of people who still believe in it, and this is why we have the discussions around Bitcoin Cash and other people who believe that the original idea of Bitcoin is completely gone, and this is why they continue to hard fork it. Some of them are just cash grabs, obviously, but a lot of the other ones still say that they know Satoshi, and that Satoshi does not want exactly what's happening on, especially in the earlier days. If you've ever read any books on Bitcoin, Satoshi was upset on forums when he was actually still posting on forums around 2010, 2011. He was upset that people who were in the cryptocurrency space were even talking to people in the government to try and educate them on blockchain and educate them on what Bitcoin was. And this is one of the reasons, or one of the final times that we actually ever heard from Satoshi, was when people were actually going on television. They were talking to major news outlets because he said it's not what he wanted. He said he wanted it to be not something underground, but he didn't want exposure to it in that way. And it's kind of where we are right now. So like I said, at least to me, Bitcoin is going to thrive. It may take a while, and no one knows exactly how long it is going to take. But as of now, the future of Bitcoin has been solidified. Maybe not in the way that other people wanted it to be, but the economic world has a strong grasp on it, and I do not think in any possible way that they're going to let the money-making machine that is Bitcoin go. That's at least how I feel. Next up, we've had a lot of news about stablecoins over the last couple of weeks. A University of Berkeley professor has claimed that stablecoins are a myth in a new critique published on the 11th of September. Taking the emerging market sector, which includes well-known assets such as Tether, or USDT, to task, Professor of Economics Barry Eichengreen argues that stablecoins are not automatically viable just because they are pegged to the reserves of, for example, fiat currency. Eichengreen writes that conventional cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin trade at wildly fluctuating prices, which means that their purchasing power their command over goods and services is highly unstable, adding, and I quote, "Stablecoins purport to solve these problems because their value is stable in terms of dollars or their equivalent. They are attractive as units of account and stores of value. They are not mere vehicles for financial speculation, but this doesn't mean they are viable," end quote. The cryptocurrency industry continues to see more and more stablecoins hit the market, some of which come directly from or via traditional finance institutions. The idea behind stablecoins is that if you are trading cryptocurrencies, you need a safe haven to be able to cash out as opposed to cashing out into fiat. And also people say that we need stablecoins pretty much as a way to be able to peg the market or stabilize the market should there be any type of wild fluctuations going back and forth. A lot of people do not like stablecoins for what everyone has their reasons for not liking something. These are definitely going to continue. This is actually one of the first critiques that we've actually seen. A lot of people have been heavily praising stablecoins over the last couple of months, saying that they are the way that the institutional investors, the people who are very rich, will be able to get into the cryptocurrency market as it is more comfortable for them to have a place to be able to cash out as opposed to cashing out directly into fiat currencies, which could take a couple of days as it goes back to their bank account. But this is instantaneous. And one of the ideas is that eventually we're going to have hundreds of different stable coins that will go across multiple platforms that people will be able to use in order to cash out their money. Especially this will apparently become very significant should we get to a multi-trillion-dollar market cap. Well, like I said, this is the first actual critique of someone saying that they disagree with us having stable coins. No one knows exactly what's going to happen. But as of now, we have around 13 or 14 different stablecoins that have announced publicly that they are going to be launching at least in 2018. So it is expected that over the next couple of years, we are going to have tons of these things that they say will be able to give some stability and potential legitimacy to the cryptocurrency market. Stellar is also in the news. ICO services platform TokenSoft is officially launching products for projects on the Stellar Lumens protocol. The company, which helps crypto startups navigate through legal compliance procedures in the US and internationally, announced on Tuesday that it would extend its offerings to include the Stellar platform, having previously assisted Ethereum-based projects. TokenSoft co-founder Mason Borda told CoinDesk that his company has been looking into Stellar since the first quarter of 2018, citing its level of maturity as the reason for accepting it to the platform. He said, "We feel that the Stellar network, the tool sets in the underlying infrastructure do provide the maturity for us to provide official support. We're excited to announce that if you want to receive payment for Lumens, we can provide support," end quote. Having seen demand for Stellar in late 2017, Borda said the team was a little bit skeptical initially, since Stellar isn't known for enabling token issuance. However, he added, "We noticed that not only was there demand for Stellar, but also entrepreneurs and companies were beginning to use Stellar," end quote. I'm actually quite shocked at how much Stellar has been in the news the last couple of weeks. Stellar is not a project that I don't not like. I think Stellar is quite interesting. It's very controversial, if you will, as it is quite similar to a couple of other projects, and the original also design or idea behind Stellar is also kind of shifting a little bit. Stellar was seen as for a time as a rival to XRP, but they both seem to be taking their own individual paths. I think they will eventually. I don't see a future where Stellar is actually going to collapse unless something magical happens in the last 8 weeks of news that we've actually gotten about Stellar completely evaporate. I think it may not be as popular or as large as a lot of other people think, but I think Stellar is probably not going to go anywhere, even if it slips out of, the top 10, 15, 20 coins. Stellar has been around long enough and is mature enough, as I said in the article, that I think enough companies are definitely latching onto it. We also had news a couple of days ago about something called Interstellar. They're only using the Stellar blockchain, but this is also quite significant. If you spend years developing on top of a blockchain, you're probably not going to leave it as that blockchain then has the information that you actually also need. It's all written on top of it. So Stellar is definitely going to be around for some time. So anyway, this is the Stellar news, if you will, for the day. Next up, blockchain startup Ripple and R3 have resolved a legal battle that saw both firms filing suit over a contract dispute. A representative from R3 confirmed the settlement to CoinDesk in an email saying, R3 Hold Co. LLC, R3 LLC, Ripple Labs Inc., and XRP2 LLC announced that they have reached a settlement of all outstanding litigation between the parties. The terms of the agreement will remain confidential, and both sides look forward to putting these disputes behind them, end quote. The spat went public just over a year ago when it was reported that by Reuters that R3 had filed a complaint at the Delaware Chancery Court alleging Ripple had not honored an agreement that included an option for it to purchase 5 billion XRP, the open source cryptocurrency of Ripple's distributed ledger network. R3 asked the Delaware Chancery Court to force Ripple to uphold the deal, which would have allowed it to buy XRP at a price of 0.008 cents, that is less than 1 cent per token, at any time before September 2019. At press time, the price of XRP is 26 cents, time of day wrote this. In Ripple's counter case at the Supreme Court in California, the firm claimed that the two had agreed a deal for a joint commercial venture, alleging R3 had not stuck to its end of the bargain. Pretty much what it comes down to is that the entire argument was this pretty much. This is why I always say I think crypto got ahead of itself, very far ahead of itself. A lot of people didn't expect the cryptocurrency space to have these prices or for this amount of attention. When you listen to a lot of the discussions from people in the cryptocurrency space, especially the people who are making these coins, they did not see crypto taking off until maybe 2019, 2020. They all thought around 2016, 2015 that it would take quite some time for anyone to show real interest in the cryptocurrency space. This is why they have the 2019 timeframe around here. What it comes down to is that realistically, they said they would be able to buy 5 billion XRP at a price of less than 1 cent per token. The argument went that R3 actually broke their contractual obligation multiple times, and they knew it. This is why they not separated from Ripple. I forgot exactly what the complete thing was. Ripple said, no, you cannot have it as you broke the contract multiple times. I think even one of the people who was working on Ripple decided to leave Ripple, went over to here, this other court over here, and decided to also try and sue them. Long story short, this has been settled. This has been going on for a couple of years now. No one knows exactly how much it was resolved for. I think the other, if you remember, I'm sure you remember, last couple of months we also had a lot of news that Ripple was being sued by a couple of other people who said they had lost $500 and they were suing because Ripple was so-and-so and how dare you take $500 from me. I didn't know that the market, they were saying that they had no idea that the prices of crypto would go down as they bought them, and it was Ripple's fault that the price of cryptocurrencies went down. A lot of these have either been resolved or have been completely thrown out from the court. I think there were 4 active lawsuits against Ripple, and I think there may only be 1 left. I think one of them got handed to another court, but this is also one of the other of the 3 that someone said that XRP is a security and Ripple always knew it. And this is kind of where we are right now. So these are slowly being settled as quickly as These are being settled as quickly as possible. And I think this has to do with the SEC possibly giving a final answer sometime towards the end of this year, because realistically you can't give information on what a coin is, especially if the company has lawsuits against them. This is kind of at least how I feel about it. Anyway, that is the Ripple news that happened over this week. Bitcoin is interesting. Even though, how do I put this into words? For some reason, Bitcoin is mimicking itself in like almost the exact same way. I don't have the other charts, and I don't think they are actually like the side-by-side comparisons. A lot of people have been noting that the price of Bitcoin and the entire cryptocurrency market is mimicking the prices from not only 2015, but also 2014. And they look almost exactly the same type of loops, the same type of, there was also a point sometime in, I believe, 2014, 15, somewhere around there, where the Bitcoin price was completely, Bitcoin was completely oversold. It had dropped under a certain line, which, indicated that there was too much, too much selling pressure. Too many people were selling when it had no reason to be sold. And then at some point, the price completely popped up. So this is a news that's being thrown around, what have you. I think people always look for things in the market or in the past to be able to say that this is an indicator of something that's eventually going to happen to the price of Bitcoin or things within the cryptocurrency market. But we've seen that in March when people said the price was going to go back up. We saw this in May when people said that typically this was the time of year when the cryptocurrency market ended up going back up because there were indicators that in 2014 and 2015 that the prices definitely went back up. There were people around June, July who said that this was the time when the cryptocurrency market was also going to go back up because the indicators showed that from 2017 that the prices were also mimicking the also price movements from 2016 to 2017. No one knows when the prices are going to go back up. If they tell you that they are certain it is going to go back up on a certain date, they are either lying or they are a wizard. That's as pretty much as far as it can go. It's still expected that at some point, obviously, the prices will go back up. No one knows when, but it is interesting to note that Bitcoin is showing the exact same jumps in the exact same trends that we had before in previous years before we actually shot back up into some type of a bull market. Who knows what's going to happen? But I mean, it is, at least for me, I know a lot of people have been panicking, especially with the prices going down. A lot of people bought in around December or January. I find it very exciting when I talk to my friend, that same friend who I always talk about. Not to say that he gets scared. I don't want to call him out. He doesn't get scared, but I mean, like, I find it interesting. I find all of these things very fascinating because I see the long-term growth of the market. And I think these are the moments when we look back in 2022 and 2023 and if you've ever seen the prices of Bitcoin before, when you look at the actual historical map from where we were at the very beginning and you scroll back all the way around and you look at around 2009 to 2012 and you see these major fluctuations and the price goes up here and then it slams back down and it goes back and slams back down. When you move back and you look at the entire space from 2009 to 2018, those same exact gigantic jump ups that we saw were as big as these right here. So everything in comparison is relatively small. From what I've seen, from what I've read, from what I've looked at, from the books I've read, from the information that I've absorbed from other people talking about the cryptocurrency space and experts and analysts, these are all going to be we're going to look back at these things and still think, like I told you before, what a bargain these prices were and why we didn't get more of them. That's not me telling you to FOMO into the market. Just look at the long-term prospects if you have the time. If you are in this for the long term, you should not be worried. That's at least how I feel about it. I'm not worried about any of this. I think it's quite fascinating at times how the prices are moving. But according to all these things that I've been reading, Bitcoin is potentially at a bottom already. It may not go any lower than where it already is. It's caught itself multiple times at 6,000. And potentially, sometime in the near future, no one knows when, we could see a type of a huge spike up again in volume and then a huge, gigantic shoot up in price. Next up, Waves is not a token that you hear about very often. It looks like Malta's reputation as blockchain island is continuing to gain impressive traction with a new development that could potentially see the state begin to adopt a cryptocurrency and blockchain-based mechanism for its services and operations. The team from Waves, a decentralized cryptocurrency platform providing a complete ecosystem for blockchain developers, met with Joseph Muscat, Malta's prime minister, and representatives of the Maltese government to discuss potential scenarios for the use of the Waves platform in the state's government and corporation sector. Sasha Ivanov, founder and CEO of Waves platform and Vostok, attended a meeting with government representatives and other interested parties on the island to discuss technical cooperation in the fields of healthcare, land registry, voting, and others, as well as proposals to use Waves as a platform for tokenized financial instruments. The meeting was attended by Prime Minister Muscat, Silvio Scrembi, Junior Minister for Financial Services, Digital Economy and Innovation, and a lot of other names, as well as representatives of Malta's Financial Services Authority. These first steps were encouraging and discussions will continue per reports from inside the meeting. The most positive outcome of the process would ultimately be accreditation for the company to work within the territory of the state. So they are not, or will probably not be using the Waves token, but they will be using the Waves blockchain. This is still significant as Waves, Waves is definitely not 8 years old. And we have another major government who is potentially talking about using another cryptocurrency platform to be able to tokenize financial assets. We spoke about this before when it comes to the tokenization of everything. It is believed over the next couple of years that everything that has value will be able to be tokenized and will be able to be put on top of blockchain. I guess maybe they found other ones too crowded. I guess there's a reason why they aren't using Stellar or EOS or Ethereum. But to be fair, people always say that there's not just going to be one winner. Multiple platforms have not even just multiple use cases. A lot of them are mimicked each other for a very long time. With the same, we have multiple platforms that are used for smart contracts, and a lot of them that are used for being able to build coins or put ICOs on top of. So as long as we have about 15 to 20 of those and they're all working, it could be that many governments around the world will start using these different platforms. But I mean, it is nice to hear that Waves is even in the news. Let's see if we actually hear any more from them, or if we hear something else about some other company and or institution or even a government that is talking about using their actual cryptocurrency token. Here is, here we go. Chinese holding company Wuhang General Group China Incorporated has entered negotiations to transfer a U.S. Defense Department facility into a crypto mining farm, according to a press release on the 11th of September. Per the press release, in case of a successful outcome in the negotiation, the company will receive the official order of rigs in late October, with more to come in the following months. In converting the facility, Wuhang General Group is reportedly planning to benefit from lower electricity rates in the U.S., a cool climate, and high-speed internet, which is crucial for mining operations. The 55,000 square foot data center, which is around 5,100 meters squared, with more than 3 MW of power, can reportedly accommodate up to 1,300 mining machines, with 12,000 to be added after its upgrade to 30 MW facility in 2019. Per the company's estimation, the mining farm would produce around $3.5 million based within the initial, my gosh, my English, 1,300 mining machines per month. Remy Kamane, CEO of Wuhang General Group, said, "We are planning to build this operation 3 months ago, but with the bearish cryptocurrency market, we took a step back to reassess our strategy. The decision to wait for market stability was a good one, especially considering many cryptocurrency machines are no longer profitable in the current market," end quote. I've never in my life thought that a U.S. Defense Department facility would be turned into a cryptocurrency mining farm. If you ever have a chance on YouTube, search around a little bit. There are a lot of people who have videos on them actually, building their own crypto rigs, or I have this in my backyard, or I have this with a bunch of fans. If you really dig deep and find stuff on like CNBC or many other, they'll have like 5-minute videos of them showing, what's happening in the cryptocurrency world. And there are a lot of small towns who are actually like creating massive cryptocurrency warehouses. There are a lot of places in Canada and Alaska. They're like these abandoned old factories and stuff like that. And people are kind of just moving in. It's a lot of people don't know that there are a lot of Chinese companies who are actually searching for spaces around the world in order to take over. I mean, this isn't some type of conspiracy, what have you. But they're trying to find like very large locations where they can get very cheap electricity. And they're just completely going at it. I wish there was more. Maybe it is happening across Africa or South America or even the States or even in Europe, where there are major companies who are doing this. But we have almost no news about this. There's never really any news about many other countries or continents creating crypto mining facilities or farms or something like that. It's always someone from China. Like I said, this isn't anything nefarious. I don't think they're doing this in like a mean-spirited way. But it would be nice if we had other gigantic crypto farms opening. Maybe they are. Realistically, if I had a couple $100 million to open up a crypto mining farm, I probably wouldn't make a press release about it, just in case someone had a drone and they could figure out where I had all my machines. Anyway, that is the that's another Chinese holding firm that plans on getting into cryptocurrencies. And I don't want to say they're definitely with Bitmain, but whatever. We're just going to move on from that. Anyway, SBI is in the news as well. Japanese financial giant SBI Holdings is soon to launch a cryptocurrency payment application for iOS and Android devices powered by Ripple's distributed ledger technology. Takashi Okita, chief executive of SBI Ripple Asia, a joint venture between SBI Holdings and the San Francisco-based Ripple, revealed the website of the application named MoneyTap on Wednesday. While an exact date remains unclear at this stage, the site indicates the application is planned to be available in autumn for both operating systems and used for customers of 3 domestic banks in China. CoinDesk reported in March that SBI Ripple Asia revealed the project was supported by the Japanese banking consortium it leads, together with Ripple, who lends technological support. SBI Ripple Asia said at the time that the service would be rolled out for consumers of SBI Net, Sumishi Bank, Soruga Bank, and Rizona Bank, 3 members of the consortium. After an initial launch, it is expected to expand to service to another 61 members of the banking consortium. SBI and Ripple are quite close. The cryptocurrency exchange that SBI had, no one knows. I think it's officially launched. So many people, to put it as plain as possible, so many people and organizations and cryptocurrency companies and entities all believed that by now we would have been in a bull run. It was expected for months and months. You heard me read out the stories by all these people who kept on saying that we were going to be in some type of a tremendous bull market by the time September rolled around. I think a lot of announcements and launches happened prematurely. SBI was expected to launch their crypto thing sometime in like January or February, and then as the prices were going down, they pushed it back. I think they pushed it back to around July or something like that, and they were only allowing certain people, and then they said that I think other people or people who hadn't already pre-registered would be able to get into it sometime around the end of July, maybe early August. And there was something floating around a couple of days ago where people were talking about that SBI actually isn't launching until March. It said something like that on their, on their Twitter page, but if you actually translated it, it was in Japanese. It kind of says that their fiscal year, or rather the next time that their fiscal period ends, is March 2019, and it wasn't saying that they would be launching their exchange in 2019. No one knows what's happening, but you may have noticed about 85% of the things that I have been talking about over the last 8 months have not launched. They're taking forever. The timing has been pushed back. And this is simply because no one wants to really launch anything or have something rolled out when the market is like this. Everyone expected that by this point, the market would have been completely back up. Prices would have been extremely high. And when we have, let's even say that we have a 100% growth from where we are right now in Bitcoin, the moment Bitcoin hits over 10,000, this is expected to be the moment where crypto officially starts going crazy again. But no one wants to launch anything. No one wants to talk about any upgrades that they have coming out because it'll just be absorbed by the bear and no one will really care about it. And then 8 months later, you can't really brag about something that you did or that you had or that you announced during the bear market because no one will really care and everybody will only want new announcements. So whenever we probably, eventually, maybe one day possibly do have another bull run, we're going to have about 38,000 things of news every single day because everyone's going to be so desperate to be able to give out the news that they've been holding back for months. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, SBI is a huge partner of Ripple. They are the one of the largest banks in Japan who announced that they were going to create a cryptocurrency exchange that would revolve around XRP. But as of now, everything apparently still takes time because we're waiting for about 15 different factors from multiple world governments in order to give us proper news on what is going to happen in the cryptocurrency space. Next up, Russia's once again in the news. A special representative of the Russian president said that the country is not yet ready for the circulation and issuance of cryptocurrencies. This is according to local news agency RIA on the 10th of September. The president's special representative on digital and technological developments, Dmitry Peskov, explained his view on the state of digital assets in an interview with IRA. He said, "From the start, we have not legally suppressed blockchain and cryptocurrencies. That's a lie, and are trying to bring them to a normative space. That is also a lie. But the government must give fair warning that there is a high risk of ending up with an MMM 2.0, a famous pyramid scheme that existed in the 1990s. Peskov stated that the official position of the Russian central bank on crypto was too soft. The threat level is so high that the position could be stricter, he said. Furthermore, Peskov argued that the issuance of cryptocurrency is contrary to basic state principles. He said, and I do quote, "The issuance and circulation of cryptocurrencies cannot yet be permitted. It contradicts the basic functions of government. Order is important. If we adopt a bill on the principles of working with cryptocurrencies on the government level, then we can discuss the implementation of those principles in daily life, but it's not right to do this in reverse, end quote. For those who were not around for many of my other videos, Russia has been in the cryptocurrency news for quite a long time. And thank goodness that we've actually read through the other articles and I've heard about them. And I have also done, relatively okay research when it comes to Russia and the cryptocurrency space, as I've been reading about them for at least more than a year. Russia has made many things in their country illegal for normal people to be able to deal in cryptocurrencies. They have a lot of things, especially if you are trying to deal in ICOs and or other cryptocurrencies. Not only do you have to, I believe, register with the government that you are going to do so, you also have to make sure, or rather, you are only allowed normal people, normal everyday people, not people who are rich. These are the people who are not allowed to touch crypto. So if you are not extremely wealthy, I think you have a limit of around $4,000 in crypto, US dollars, that you can actually buy per year. Everyone else who is a government official or anyone else who is rich within the country, they are allowed to do as they wish with cryptocurrencies. When they say things that crypto and the issuance of circulating cryptocurrencies cannot be permitted, that yet should not even be here because it cannot be permitted. It contradicts the basic functions of government. We have spoken about 38,000 times at least about the threat of cryptocurrencies. Please pay attention, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. There's a reason why we have not had proper ruling and or laws from Russia, from India, from the United States, from many countries in South America, from many countries in Africa, from the European Union finally giving us any proper legal framework. South Korea has not officially given us anything. This is all happening on purpose because they have, the easiest way of saying it is they've painted themselves into a corner. Not only has crypto become more popular even after the suppression of the governments around the world tried very hard. That is not me talking about them negatively, but we know this for a fact because it's been in the news. They've tried their hardest to suppress the prices of cryptocurrencies and also the interest in the cryptocurrency space, and that has not happened. The Bitcoin hash rate has multiplied by 8 times during 2018, even as the prices of cryptocurrencies fell back down to the ground. Russia is not ready to allow the circulation of cryptocurrencies because many countries, unless you find an easy way to be able to manipulate other countries into using your currency. I'm not going to name names, but some of the largest currencies that we have out there in the world, unless you are able to manipulate other countries to use your currency, many countries are not going to want to use the currency that you have out there. If all the countries in the world, all the organizations and all the letters that make up other different countries and what have you, all came together, or rather if they gave us information that cryptocurrencies were allowed, they were not banned, you can do with it what you will. If they gave us even proper clarification as to what happens to ICOs or what happens to securities, the cryptocurrency market would 10x in a matter of days. And the problem is that this is a major threat to governments around the world. They are terrified because they've realized, the nicest way of saying it is that there is probably, maybe, potentially not a way to actually destroy cryptocurrencies anymore. They were betting on, and this is just how I feel, me, myself, and I, this is not what happened. I feel like they were betting on the collapse of the cryptocurrency market as a way that people would want to leave the sector, not be interested in it, would completely leave it. No one has any more interest in a market where something hit 20,000, slams down by 75%. Who wants to be in a market like that anymore? Raise my hand. This is just how I feel about it. They wanted crypto to kind of die, and now that crypto hasn't died, nearly every single country told us, if you remember, that we would have some type of legal framework by the summertime. None of them have given us legal framework because I don't really want to spend too much time. It's not even a conspiracy theorist thing. It's really, really not. Just look at the actual facts that are there. So many governments told us that they would give us information by the summertime. They have not given us information, and they're constantly coming out with things talking about things like this, that they don't want to permit them. They think it's against government. Order is important. Order for who? Who benefits most from cryptocurrencies and other digital assets being banned or non-movable within certain countries. I'm not going to go too much more into this because I could go on for about an hour and a half and have a whole bunch of rants and stuff. But some of the largest countries in the entire world have figured out what's going on. Like I've said, they've painted themselves into a corner. Eventually, they're going to allow it. And at that point, it's going to be, really too late for them. Good luck to the countries who are paying attention to what's actually going on, and they're actually integrating these things, or they're writing their stuff on blockchain, or they're allowing cryptocurrency to be legal in their countries. Whatever. I'm going to move on from this because it's just frustrating that we know the ultimate outcome of cryptocurrencies. Governments know the ultimate outcome of what's going to happen within the next 10 years of cryptocurrencies, and they're just trying to push everything back because they're not used to this level or speed of innovation. Whatever. Anyway, I'm going to close this. Next up, blockchain startup Paxos announced on Monday that it has launched a stablecoin with regulatory backing from the state of New York. The newly minted Paxos standard, which has been approved and will be regulated by the New York Department of Financial Services, or the NYDFS, is fully backed by the US dollar, the company said. Notably, Paxos is already a qualified custodian, meaning it is legally regulated and approved by the US Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, to hold client funds. The Paxos standard token is designed to provide liquidity for investors trading in crypto assets by providing a digital alternative to cash that can still see instant transaction settlements, according to the company. Paxos CEO and co-founder Charles Cascarilla said in a statement that this new stablecoin aims to provide financial markets with the ability to conduct transactions by way of a fully USD collateralized asset that leverages blockchain technology. This is, I think, the 12th or 13th stablecoin. Paxos, the word Paxos was in another thing that we spoke about earlier this week. I couldn't really find news about earlier this week, and it wasn't really, like I said, that significant for me enough to talk about it during the week. This is another company, the same as the Gemini twins, who announced that they also created their own cryptocurrency, which is kind of weird that you can just create money out of thin air, kind of. The point is, we'll see exactly the full effects of this. We already had the other article where that person doesn't really agree with the idea of stable coins, but as of now, this is the Paxos stablecoin news. We're gonna have so many more of these. I think by the time we hit number 20, I'll just stop bringing up stablecoins altogether. But these are the things that are expected to be the saving grace and/or catalyst, or ways to be able to not stabilize, like leaving the prices forever where they are, but should we have major fluctuations, people will be able to dip into these, and this will stop the a huge runoff in prices or what have you. Russia, I'm going to just touch on this for half a second. The Bank of Russia has successfully conducted an experiment on token issuance, an official said Monday during the Eastern Economic Forum in Vladivostok, Russia. News agency TASS reported on Tuesday. Ivan Semajin, deputy director of the Financial Development Department of the bank, told attendees on the forum that the regulator had tested conducting an experimental ICO based on the existing framework infrastructure in the Bank of Russia sandbox. Though the experiment was a success, there are still some issues. He said in the framework of the sandbox, technically everything went well, but there were a lot of issues from a legal point of view. He did not explain what these legal concerns were. The test was originally announced in May when Russia's largest state-funded retail bank, Sberbank, together with Russia's National Settlement Depository, NSD, said that they were working on a test ICO. The experiment was expected to involve a company named Level 1 as an ICO issuer. Sberbank and the issuance coordinator and anchorer investor said the NSD as the custodian recording and settlement transactions, as well as the safeguarding the assets. Russia has been testing ICOs. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be okay, first of all, we also had news from Russia that there was news that they planned on creating their own cryptocurrency, and this went on for about 8-9 months. And then we had news that they weren't going along with it, but I'm pretty sure someone's definitely still working on it in the background. A lot of the countries that are under sanctions or could potentially be under sanctions or have been under sanctions from the United States and the European Union before have all announced that they're creating their own cryptocurrencies. I'm pretty sure the Russian one is definitely in the works. I'm pretty sure that it's going to take about 2 years for them to be able to officially announce that it is going to happen, especially with them testing ICOs. ICOs for what? I have no idea. I'm going to assume there's between Russia working with Ethereum, writing things already on the Ethereum network and creating ICOs, I wonder if they're testing Ethereum. That's also speculation on my end. Russia, this is like the 8th Russian story. I didn't even realize how much Russia was actually in this video. The point is, that is another thing that Russia is doing. It's interesting to note the amount of countries who are banning cryptocurrencies or restricting their people from using cryptocurrencies are also in the news the most about creating other cryptocurrency projects or other things that revolve around cryptocurrency. Don't you think it's kind of weird that also China is in the news so much? Not only have they banned cryptocurrencies, but they have all these things revolving around blockchain. Something else happened. I don't have it in this video. Something else happened with China about a day or two ago where they were testing things, and they have also some type of not a consortium, but like some type of a group who's also ranking the top 100 cryptocurrencies. Is very odd that you would ban something, but then still have so much interest around it. Anyway, that is once again Russia in the news. Next up, digital currency exchange OKCoin has announced its expansion of token-to-token trading into 20 new U.S. states, according to a statement published on the 12th of September. Per the announcement, OKCoin has extended trading services to the states of Alaska, Arizona, Colorado, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nevada, New Jersey, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, and Wisconsin. Thumbs up, I guess, if you live in one of those states. Jim Nguyen, who is the vice president of marketing at OKCoin, stated in the blog post that the exchange collaborated with regulators in each state in order to comply with both federal and state laws. He said, in order for the cryptocurrency market to reach its full potential, exchanges like OKCoin have to work with existing and new regulators for convertible virtual currencies, digital goods, and or securities, end quote. I have no idea. I barely ever hear about OKCoin. I think a lot of people in the comment section have said before that they actually do use OKCoin. If you have used OKCoin, tell other people if OKCoin is actually an OK website. I'm pretty sure as they're in the States, I don't know exactly how far they go. I'm going to assume, this is just me assuming, of course, that they probably only have Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin listed. I think as of now, Bittrex has been the only crypto exchange that has at least like 15 coins listed in the United States. Long story short, OKCoin has expanded. We heard between OKCoin and Robinhood, for some reason they're having a lot of issues expanding into other states. So they typically have only been launched in around 2 or 3 states or something like that. Not many other people around. A lot of people in the United States have been arguing, or they are upset because they want to use many other platforms to be able to trade cryptocurrencies back and forth. But lo and behold, it takes months for someone to be able to get to your state. Anyway, it's good to hear that they have expanded a bit more, and hopefully they end up covering the entirety of the U.S. I'm going to assume maybe that was it, the last 20 states that they had to actually get. Who knows? Next up, Paris Saint-Germain, a major French soccer team in the country's top league, is planning to issue its own cryptocurrency as a way to incentivize participation for its fans around the world. Paris Saint-Germain, which boasts prominent players including Brazil star Neymar, announced a multi-year partnership on Tuesday with a Malta-based blockchain startup called Socios that will tackle on the technology for the so-called fan token offering. According to a French news site, PSG is now eyeing a deadline of spring 2019 to start issuing its proprietary tokens, making it potentially one of the first soccer clubs anywhere to do so. Rather than a monetary role for PSG's coin, however, the goal is to allow fans who hold the token to be able to vote for and decide on less strategic matters, such as team jersey choices or opponents in friendly matches, the report said. I only know about Paris Saint-Germain because I have a lot of friends who are into football, so I'm pretty sure they're probably maybe happy about this. I think this may actually be the first time that we hear... No, there's another American football team who also I think is trying to get into cryptocurrencies as well. It'll be interesting to see if these actually end up taking off. A lot of other companies, not even teams, companies have out there announced that they were creating their own cryptocurrency. Once again, they did it during this fiendish bear market, and they have all but completely flown into the dust. I think a lot of them have lost funding. A lot of people haven't really cared too much about it anymore. Everyone's just focusing on the major coins, and when these coins start going back up, This is when I assume we're going to have some type of a, more of a hype when it comes to sports teams creating their own cryptocurrencies. Anyway, if you are into football, I'm sure this is pretty cool news for you. I know that they're a very popular team, so thumbs up. I don't really know how to continue on from that. Next up, so this is, we have we have clarification, but it is a bit ridiculous. All crypto exchanges and banks providing cryptocurrencies in Mexico will now be obliged to receive a permit from the Bank of Mexico. It is called Banxico or Banxico, according to a September 10th circular published in an official daily of the Mexican government, the Diario Oficial de la Federación, I think I said that correct. The letter, called General Provisions on Operations Related to Economic Payment Funds, states that Banxico is responsible for issuing crypto-related permits. To get one, a company dealing in digital currencies must provide a detailed business plan, complete with a description of their operations, the commissions they plan to charge, and the mechanisms they will use to verify customer identity. Additionally, banks are not permitted to make cryptocurrencies available to users if their accounts were not created or were created on the same day. Financial entities are also obliged to identify all customers involved in cryptocurrency trading. Furthermore, any assets acquired by crypto beneficiaries have to go through additional validation checks. Per Banxico, these measures will help prevent money laundering and illicit activities. According to news outlet Crypto Noticias, institutions interested in receiving Banxico compliance must have submitted their application by the 11th of September, so that has clearly passed. However, they may apply again in March 2019 when a new piece of fintech legislation is expected to be passed into law. So it's great news that we have or had news about Mexico allowing crypto exchanges and not banning them, but, and I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible, it's weird for me that countries that don't have the strongest economies in the entire world make sure to hamper and step on the necks of industries that could bring them more money. I think that's the nicest way of saying it. We've seen this multiple times around the world. For me, at least, I would have at least done at least 2 years of research, made sure that I knew exactly what was going on, found out the benefits of blockchain and crypto for my country, made sure that I would have lowered taxes for people who are trying to get into crypto, also for crypto companies, as if they're expected to bring in billions of dollars per year, I would have tried to help them. I understand the AML and KYC laws. I really get it. I understand. I've been reading about them for quite a long time. But sometimes things seem a little harsh to have so many restrictions on people who are trying to open up in your country. Whether they know this or not, other countries do exist. Planes also exist, as do boats and paddle boats. You can simply just go to another country and leave that country behind. I don't know if countries assume that people only speak one language or that they are somehow restricted from staying inside of one country. But I still believe that the countries that are going to do the best in the future are going to be the ones that actually have a relatively light tap on the head when it comes to policies. But at least, it's not banned in Mexico. But I think a lot of things could have been done a bit easier. But to be fair, at least we have one country out there who's giving us something to do with regulation, because many other countries are still left in the dark by their countries and their governments as to exactly what's going on in the cryptocurrency space, as they have no idea if what they're even doing is illegal. That has to be one of the scariest things in the entire world. Imagine opening up a cryptocurrency exchange and your country has not given you proper rules or regulations, and you don't know if what you're doing is going to be considered illegal. That has to be one of the worst feelings in the entire world. So we had news before, I don't know if you guys remember a couple of weeks ago, that China, or rather inside of China, we had a lot of cryptocurrency companies and institutions that were still there. They weren't trading crypto, but they were still doing crypto related operations. And also we had a lot of their texting apps and stuff like that that are very prominent or dominant or very well used in the country, that they were still thriving. And then apparently China started cutting some of them down. And this is apparently only continuing as China. We thought that China would allow at least a couple of things in the country. People at least talking about crypto would be okay. But apparently even that's a problem. The WeChat messaging app is continuing its efforts to block official accounts that involve cryptocurrencies, now targeting those that distribute content for sales of Bitcoin miners and cryptocurrency market analysis. The official sales channel of Bitcoin mining giant Bitmain, which has the WeChat ID Ant Miner sale, appears to be blocked on Monday. As of press time, searching for content previously distributed by the account leads to a page that says it has violated relevant rules. The notice says, following users' complaints, the platform WeChat has reviewed and discovered that this account, without having acquired authorized credentials or licenses, has been publishing and distributing information of relevant businesses it is involved in. A company representative has not responded to a CoinDesk request for details on what could have led to the move to censor the channel. I have a pretty strong idea why they stopped it. However, another Bitmain official account that provides product information for mining equipment, Antminer_official, still remains active as of press time. In recent days, WeChat, which is owned by internet giant Tencent and now the most popular messaging tool in China, has also moved to block accounts that are involved in offering content related to cryptocurrency market prediction and analysis. So not only are you not allowed to touch cryptocurrencies or ICOs, you are now not allowed to talk about cryptocurrencies in China. There's a level of control. You don't think that governments would go that obsessive about it, but lo and behold, here we are. It's actually quite sad. And I've watched documentaries about. You're gonna hear me say that a lot. You're gonna hear me say I heard a podcast and I watched a documentary. If I have free time, if I'm not reading a book, I'm watching documentaries. I like to expand my mind. They were talking about what's happening in Hong Kong and how the Chinese government is slowly trying to regain control over Hong Kong, even though there is a mandate in order that they cannot have control over it for like the next, I think 30 years or something like that. And they're trying to, the people in Hong Kong are so adamant about their freedom and what's happening with cryptocurrencies. A lot of people are getting into cryptocurrencies within Hong Kong. The Chinese government is even trying to spread their influence over the border that they have no control over in order to stop people from even talking about crypto. You know how crazy that is to be so threatened by it's computer code. Like it's not anyone with a tank. It's not anyone who's, doing anything malicious. It's a code that someone created 9 years ago, put onto the internet for everyone to use. And now countries are so threatened by it. And the power that they could potentially use, this is not me trying to get political, what have you, just the honest truth at this point, that they're censoring people talking about it on the internet. It's very sad. I'm going to assume that there's probably no one who's actually in China who is able to listen to my channel, because I am pretty sure that YouTube is also banned within China. This is why, it kind of is just the way that the world is right now. I guess there's really no stopping it. I wish everyone there the best. I hope eventually they find a way to get around it. I hope that eventually VPNs maybe become more powerful. I don't really know. But them stopping people from even talking about crypto, nonetheless, you can't even touch the darn thing in their country, is just absolutely out of control. Last up, this is, so for those who remember, maybe don't remember, we had, let's say around November, December of last year, we had a lot of talk from people who were talking about that crypto had gone too far, crypto prices were way too high, and many people were talking about that they expected the cryptocurrency market to crash. Around December, January, February, we were not laughing at it, but we thought it was a bit ridiculous, simply because the prices were so high. Why would prices, we expected a dip, maybe Bitcoin to fall down to 15,000 and then to kind of, fly back up again. What ended up happening was, for those who are not aware, that cryptocurrency prices continued to go down. But what's interesting about this is around February, March, we had a lot of discussions from people on news networks and outlets and other analysts and other people who had been in traditional finance before and also who had moved over to the cryptocurrency space, who were formerly into banking, and they were all saying that when we did have something called the dot-com bubble, for those who are maybe too young, around the year 2000, somewhere around there, the hype was around something called Y2K, which is when people thought that every single computer at the exact same time on the year 2000 would completely switch back to zero and the entire world would implode. That's not a joke. If you are that young, please look it up. It's called Y2K. And also the other thing that ended up happening is that the people were investing heavily into websites. They were investing any type of money that they could into websites, any dollar that they had. They push it into websites thinking that every single website was going to be a winner. There was nothing that would be able to stop any of the websites. Every single website that was out there was going to make it. And one of the most famous ones was pets.com that was expected to be around for millennium. And then during the .com bubble, when everything burst, pets.com was one of the major victims of this entire thing. And this is kind of reminiscent of what we have right now in the cryptocurrency space, where we have 1,900 different cryptocurrencies. If you look on CoinMarketCap, I think it's 1,928 different cryptocurrencies out there. And during this peak, as the market is going up, people have been predicting for quite some time that a lot of the altcoins will not recover, simply because what's happened is that the cryptocurrency market, for what it's worth, has actually fallen by around anywhere from 75 to around 80%. Which means that the discussions that we were having around March and February with all the analysts and stuff like that, who were saying, how do I put my thoughts in order? The idea is, during the .com crash, when everything completely tumbled and completely fell out of control, the things that crawled from the rubble and crawled from the ash were the Googles and the eBays and the Amazons and the other major companies that everyone, and the Apples and the Microsofts, that everyone completely had said, anything that has to do with the internet is completely dead. These are the things that crawled from the rubble. So they said, if this price going down time that we have in February, March is reminiscent of the .com bubble, it will be detrimental to the prices of cryptocurrencies, as we've seen right now. But what will end up happening is that from this rubble, we will see the real winners. And this is why I said, and this is not me telling you to even take my word, everything I say, take with a grain of salt. I am just a normal human, just like you. But after having read around, this is why I said, I think it's very interesting when you hear about the news, and you hear about the news, especially the last couple of months, as the cryptocurrency market has been going down, the people who are getting into cryptocurrencies are just looking for the winners. There's a reason why they're not talking about coin number 98 on CoinMarketCap, or why they're not talking about coin number 146. There's a reason why they're all talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum and XRP, and you hear people talking about Stellar and Cardano, and you also hear like little slivers now of people talking about Waves and other platforms like this, and EOS and other things like that. They're now looking for, even what Vitalik said a couple of days ago, he said that there's no longer a 1,000x growth possible in the cryptocurrency space. He said what he said is that now, he said that he was misquoted, and what he meant is that everything comes down to actual usage now. Your coin may be great, your coin may be quicker than Bitcoin, your coin may be able to house 10,000 other ICOs and or cryptocurrencies on top of it, and it may be called Bitcoin 2.0, but it's going to come down to actual use cases. So the idea is that as we have now seen over the last 8-9 months, that we didn't think, no one thought, that crypto was going to fall as low as it did. But as we've gotten here, the crypto crash, as it says right here, is now worse than the .com bust, which means, or could potentially mean, that as crypto has completely dissolved, fallen to the ground, is where it is right now, that this may be a very hard time. It may be difficult, or may take some time for us to get back from this. But what is expected to come from the ashes are the Googles and the Amazons and the Apples and the Microsofts and the other companies that flourished when the .com bubble burst. Like I said, there's a reason why only certain coins are being spoken about. There's a reason why the New York Stock Exchange said that they think that Bitcoin could become a world currency. There's a reason why the CEO of PayPal says that he thinks that Bitcoin is going to be the currency of the internet. There's a reason why 200 banks have joined with Ripple. There's a reason why a lot of platforms are talking about that they're going to be building on top of Stellar and EOS and Ethereum. It's all just stuff to keep in mind. Like, it's very interesting. At the beginning of this year, no one And I mean, we had analysts who said that they even, they thought that this wasn't going to be the great crash. We've had other crashes, if you will, or huge drops in price in the cryptocurrency market before, especially many, many moons ago. Even when we dropped around 70 to 80% before in the past. But we were dealing with maybe $35 million market cap, maybe 100 million. We weren't close to $1 trillion, and this is what makes it very different, is that the value that's been wiped out has been the value that's actually, cryptocurrencies was worth more than a couple of countries around the world. And when you put it into that perspective, if you think about multiple countries around the world, small countries, what have you, still countries, losing all of their value and completely going to zero, wiping out, what was it, $600 billion of wealth was wiped out from the cryptocurrency space. We are potentially in this area where a lot of people are predicting that 2019 is going to be the time where you have to put up or shut up. It is time for you and your blockchain and your coin to have an actual use case, or by 2020, 2021, you will be completely left in the dust. And we're going to be having videos in 2021 about, remember this coin, remember this other thing, remember what we no longer hear about. And it's going to be quite interesting because there are a lot of platforms that are very, very hyped. Not going to name any coins for the sake of being nice, but there's a lot of them that are just hype. I see a lot of bots in the comment section. There are a lot of bots. I see a lot of people talking about and trying to boast about other coins that have no real use cases, that have no partners, that they claim are going to have partners. If you didn't, my personal opinion, me on this mic, if you did not hear about them at least 20 times during the fall of the cryptocurrency market, they are probably not going to be around or be as prominent or dominant or have even half of a price from where they are right now by the time 2020 rolls around. That's just how I feel about it. I'm realistically, I don't like that we have 1,900 cryptocurrencies, and it's not because there are so many of them, it's because so many of them are trash. And that's just the easiest way to say it. I would like if we had a crypto purge, as it were. If the coins, let's say at least 50, 60, 70 coins that have actual real use cases, that are actually partnered, that are actually doing something, even if we don't hear about them on a daily basis. If these coins survived, the other 1,900 completely collapsed, and in their place, they were replaced by other coins that have actual value. The other coins that are going to have a Facebook built on top of them, or that are going to be similar to an Apple, or that are going to allow us to build platforms where you can write your own books and become an Amazon and other things like that. This is probably going to happen, but as of now, we need the trash to be taken out. That's not me being mean, and I promise I love the cryptocurrency space, but you understand exactly what I'm saying. Don't misconstrue my words and tweet about me like they did Vitalik. Anyway, that is 100% going to do it for this video. This is not, once again, even all the news. I was actually shocked at how much news there actually was floating around. But I'll try my darndest to be able to make more of these, simply because there is a lot of news that I missed. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, and or evening. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I know something is happening in the States. There's like a hurricane or something. I've been seeing it on the news. Please get someplace safe if you are in the States and you are listening to this. I hope you are, if not in a shelter, I don't even mean that as a joke, find someplace safe. I wish you all well. Thank you once again for all your support. I do appreciate it more than you can possibly begin to imagine. Thank you once again, and I'll talk to you all soon. See you.